Prince, Volume 2, by Machiavelli and Tyler Brown. Amidst chaos, who do you look to for aid? You look towards a leader. But sometimes, as you reach out to be caught, they let you fall. And on other occasions, in the hardest times, some leaders take the easier, more self-rewarding path and cause people to suffer unjustly. I believe that to be in a position of leadership, you must have certain qualities and ethic beliefs, most importantly of which are, you must have a strong, unwavering, yet fair moral code, a clear-cut understanding of right and wrong, and finally an understanding of commitment to your duties. These ideas of living should be present in every leader's minds when making the decisions that define them and us. Here are some stories of separate varieties of leaders that illustrate why these qualities are so important. Once upon a time, there was an old man named Cincinnatus. He was a wise and decisive general of the Roman army, but he had recently retired onto his humble farm. At that time, 466 BC of the Roman Empire, there was a decree that in a time of immense need, a total dictator would be elected for a 6-month term, and they would have absolute power over Rome. While Cincinnatus was reposed on his farm, Rome had been endangered by external enemies and was in great danger. The people acted by voting Cincinnatus as their total dictator. He honorably took the reins of Rome and defeated the external enemies in 16 days in a relatively non-violent manner. Cincinnatus then immediately stepped down and regressed to his farm, even though he still had 5.5 months to his rule. Most people would have kept their rule and abused their power for self-gain, but Cincinnatus didn't, which solidified him an image of civil virtue. A contrasting tale is of a man named Pericles from ancient Athens. He was the leader of Athens for many years, and he founded the Delian League, an alliance of countries unified against the Persian Empire. He taxed all the other countries under the guise of protection, and instead used it to benefit Athens. When the other countries found out, Pericles preemptively attacked Sparta and caused the Peloponnesian War, which destroyed Athens and Sparta, all because of Pericles' greed. But not only that, when the time for judgment came, and Sparta was at Athens' door, the people needed a leader, and Pericles abandoned them. So ask yourself, who would you want to lead you? If you had to lead, who would you be like? What I present to you next is another set of leaders that contrast and affirm why I believe leaders must have a strong, unwavering, and fair set of morals to be allowed to lead. In a time where war is everywhere, and you do not know friend from foe, we meet a man named Leonidas I, king of Sparta. It is the Golden Age, which is being propelled through the history books by great Athens and glorious Sparta. Athens just happens to be led by our last example of a bad leader, Pericles. Leonidas shows us that even when you shouldn't do something because the person you're doing it for is undeserving, you should always do what's right. When the Delian League was founded, and Pericles of Athens was caught misusing the money, Sparta was the first to call him out for it. But also at this time, the Persians were planning to send a massive invasion force to conquer Athens. But right before the Persians deployed their army on a march, Sparta received word, and Leonidas decided to act, and swiftly. Leonidas had demanded use of the Spartan army, but the senators in charge were corrupt and had been bribed by Xerxes, the Persian king, to withhold the army. Leonidas decided this could not stand and gathered 300 men to go block the path of the Persian army. On the way to their final stand, they were met by 700 free Greeks who wanted to assist in joining the Spartans on their noble mission by defending Athens no matter what Pericles did. Leonidas' army was no match for the hundreds of thousands of Persian soldiers, and they were all aware of that. But it was wrong to stand by and watch, so Leonidas took his men and held Thermopylae Pass for 7 days, 3 of which were intense combat. As the final waves of Persian soldiers marched on a path leading to the annihilation of the Spartans and free Greeks, Leonidas ordered the free Greeks to run, and what was left of the Spartans would hold the Persians off. Leonidas and his Spartans were killed that day in glorious defeat doing what was right. Athens managed to evacuate all its citizens and escape total destruction, all because of Leonidas' sacrifice. Leonidas did the right thing no matter what personal feelings he held or how deceitful Pericles had been. All leaders should be like Leonidas and be unbiased so that there is no exception or deviation from true justice. The next and final story also exemplifies the qualities that should be required in a leader, but this time it exemplifies the understanding of duties that is needed to lead. The setting is the Civil War in 1862 in the frigid plains of Virginia. A unit of 12,000 Union soldiers led by Ambrose Burnside were camped out and regrouping while waiting for reinforcements that would arrive in a couple days. During one of the first nights, the Union soldiers awoke to gunfire from all directions. A massive Confederate army of over 55,000 troops, led by Joseph E. Johnston, had surrounded them and rained intense fire upon the camp. Within the first hour, over 7,000 Union troops were injured or dead. Terrified by the trifling odds of winning, General Burnside abandoned his troops and left them clamoring around as if they were Confederate target practice. The Confederates became overconfident and got too close to the camp's border and started slacking off. Rising to the occasion, Lieutenant of Burnside, Marley N. Baker, snatched command of the weakened army and also took advantage of the Confederates' overconfidence. Baker swiftly ordered most of the remaining troops to burrow into the center of camp and bunker into a close formation, while a second group remained hidden on the forward section of the camp near the outskirts. Johnston's troops still closed in, and underestimating the Union troops, they had only sent in half their army to engage them, but they were still vastly outnumbering the Union soldiers, so they engaged. But General Baker was ready and thinking clear. He made a close formation to hold out, and when the Confederates got right outside the core of the camp, the group at the outer edge came out and attacked from behind Johnston's army. Baker's troops swiftly annihilated Johnston's secondary force and then regrouped in the center. Baker then held out the rest of the 30,000 Confederates with suppressing fire and ingenious tactics until the reinforcements arrived and Johnston was completely defeated. During the battle, Baker was injured, but he returned home and fully recovered. When he arrived back in Boston, he was offered Burnside's status as general, but declined and replied, "All I did was what should have been done." Baker also had never told the War Council that Burnside abandoned his post. All he told them was that he was MIA. We need more leaders like Baker who would rather go down with the ship rather than abandon his duties. Also, we need less people like Burnside in charge who are just here for kicks and not better or worse. In conclusion, I believe that to be in a position of leadership, you must have certain qualities and ethic beliefs such as a strong, unwavering, and fair moral code, a clear understanding of right and wrong, and finally an understanding of commitment to your duties. So ask yourself, if you were a Roman citizen, would you want a dictator to abuse his role? Or if you were an ancient Athenian, would you have wanted Sparta to protect you even after what you did? Or if you were a Union soldier, which leader would you have wanted to lead you while you held hopelessly against the Confederates? So remember, if you ever have a place of power or leadership, use it wisely and remember two things. One, you serve the people don't serve you. Second, if you had a leader who was doing this, would you approve? Leaders should be role models and symbols of good. If you don't plan on ever running to lead something, and just plan on voting, next time you vote in a leader, know who you are really voting for, what their main qualities are, and what their intentions are. Because a country, city, or even just a class, they can all be judged by a leader representing them. So a bad leader not only reflects badly on themselves, but back on who chose them. And if it is traced properly, it reflects in such a gargantuan magnitude that it can be traced all the way back to sully the human race's image. So do your fellow man a favor, and in the name of fraternity, read up before you choose a leader and make sure they possess these qualities and have been proven more than capable of representing justice and good.